Alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lahu. I greet everybody with the universal greetings of Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, today's sermon will be called Mind, Soul, Heaven. I ask the Creator to allow me to connect mind, soul, and heaven, because they all play a part in what it is that we're doing now. So I ask everybody, put your cell phones on vibrate, inshallah. Pay attention, because God is going to deliver something to each and every one of us, including myself. Mind, soul, heaven, because they all connect. As I was reciting the prayer, first let me say, I greet everybody to give me first speech about Assalamu alaikum. I thought I said that already. I said, my Lord, I see refuge in you. Just as the devils, and my Lord, I see refuge in you that come in. As I was reciting Al-Fatiha, the key, right? And chanting and calling, right? Something came to me pertaining to that. Let your day start with the calling on your Lord. Let your day start with that. Yes. Let that be the fuel to further you, to guide you throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, throughout your life. Because when you call, there's a call that's calling you, and that call is death. So we want to always start and stay in constant calling and remembrance and chanting, right, and reflecting on our Creator. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when we do that, as humans, when we veer off, we're able to be checked. Yes, we're able to be checked. Because if you say you're a Semitic, then you know there's certain things you should not be saying, certain thoughts you should not be thinking, and certain things you should not be doing. Because what? The deen, it checks us. Yes. It checks your behavior, checks your emotions, it checks your thinking. Yes. So, as I was, saying that, that's what I had felt in the moment, and I just wanted to share that with y'all here. For those who are just walking in, the title is called Mind, Soul, Heaven. Now, inshallah, I ask the Creator to allow me to connect that. Now, for some reason, I'm in Yusuf, right? And okay, it's Surah 12, right? And I've read Joseph before, but it's something about the Surah Joseph that for some reason I made the connection. I think it was yesterday morning or the day before that, and I'm gonna share this with y'all. I'm 56. We thus established Joseph on earth, ruling as he wished, right? We shower our mercy upon whomever we will, and we never fail to recompense the righteous. Never fail to recompense the righteous. This is what the Creator is telling us, right? Because the Creator deals with balance, justice, love, kindness, and God always gives us rewards. Yes, you're going to always get a reward from the Creator. Why? Because God says He's the giver. God says He's Al-Muti, the giver. Al-Muti, the giver. God is so generous that God always wants to give us stuff. Always. Gave us the breath of life, gave us children, gave us spouses, relatives, jobs, places to live, clothes, gave us organs, gave us ears, gave us a brain, gave us eyes, right? Gave us limbs and skin, right? Gave us fruits and vegetables and water and all that beautiful stuff, right? Right? Think about that. And when your back is up against the wall, right? All you got to do is say, God, please help me. I need your help right now, God. Right? Right? And surely the help of God is what? Is near, because God is as close to you as your jugular vein. And if you really believe that, God is always going to come through for you. Always. Because God says it is incumbent upon him to help the true believers. Are you a true believer?
Yes.
Are you a true believer?
Yes.
Because if you're not a true believer, then guess what? It's not going to work for you. It's not. And that's why I was, like doing some thinking, and I came with mind, soul, heaven. Because it is my thinking that's going to guide me to building my soul, right? And it's the building of my soul that's going to get me to heaven. It has to be in my mind first. It has to be. If it's not in my mind, then I'm not going to be thinking and striving to build my soul. Because I'm not thinking about that. Do y'all understand what I'm saying here? Everything starts in the thought process. In your thoughts. How you think and feel about a thing. How passionate you are about a thing. Or how weak you may be about something. Or how strong you may feel about something. If you're strong about submission, right, then guess what? Your mind will be filled with things that entail what submission is all about. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
Right? So that's why it's mind, soul, heaven. Right? So now, because the Creator, God has always given us little bits of bliss. Now we know about the bliss, but we haven't felt the bliss, but we've been getting little bits of bliss. Yes, but not in the magnitude that our Lord describes in the Quran. But God says he gives them similitudes of what they're going to get when they meet him, and they're going to say, oh my Lord, I experienced something like this. Listen, mind, soul, heaven. You can get that, and I made mention of that before. You can feel that while you're in your physical body. It depends on how you're thinking. It's always about how you're thinking, right? Thought process, right? How you think, how we think. Because you can be a submitter and be miserable. Just because you say I'm a submitter, that don't make your road and path easy because you say I'm a submitter. You got to do some submitting work. Your mind has to submit. And once your mind submits, then your soul begins to submit. And then you'll start feeling the peace. You'll feel the little bits of bliss. God will give you little bits of bliss. So as your body leaves the earth and float or fly or flee to God alone, you would have already known little bits of bliss. Because it's going back to the thought process. I think the word is, whatever man thinketh, he becometh, or whatever the case may be. Listen, the Creator is fine-tuning our mind. Why do you think we make those 5 contacts and we do certain things we do? You're being fine-tuned. Yes, it's a fine-tuning to make you better than who you may think you are. Because sometimes we be legends in our own mind. We think, I'm okay, I got this. I'm submitting. There's something to come out of left field. And you be like, oh wow, maybe I'm not submitting. And that's part of the test. Think that you say what you believe and you will not be tested. For sure we have tested those before you to see if they feign interest or were sincere. It's a test. Always a test for us. Now let me just get back to the gist, because I want to tie it all in. I'm not going to be long. I'm going to try to be low, but let me just say this. God be glorified, Lord of the universe, Lord of the multiverse. We thank the Creator for all His blessings. We glorify God. We love God. We have fallen in love with God. And if you have not fallen in love with God, inshallah, I suggest that you do. Fall in love with the Creator. I suggest that you do. I'm not going to tell you and say you have to. I'm just going to say, I suggest that you fall in love with the Creator. Okay? Stronger your love is for God, the stronger your fine-tuning will be from the Creator. Yes. Now, I'm still reading from Joseph, because something came to me when I was reading about Joseph, right? Because I would read it and I understood it, but I thought I did, and then I said, oh, now I got a little bit of understanding. And so, we all know that Joseph went through some stuff with his family, right? Because we go through stuff with our family, right? Hello? Are we all on the same page here? Listen. Joseph went through some things with his family, right? Yes. And don't we go through some things with our family and loved ones too? So listen. This Quran ain't just a Barnes and Noble's #1 bestseller and all that. It's describing the human situation and the human condition. And God is showing you what happens to families when you read Joseph. Jealousy comes up. Envy come up, right? Scheming and scamming come up, right? Low self-esteem come up. Low self-worth come up. If you read Joseph and look at the behavior of his brothers, you will see the different dynamics of the human condition. And even of your condition, my condition, the world's condition, is in small aspects in the Surah Joseph. And I'm going to speak about what I found. Because what you may find may be something different according to your fine-tuning. Your fine-tuning may be higher than my fine-tuning. So God might reveal something to you specifically for you and what your condition is at that given time. That's right. That's right. Because I'm explaining to you why. We all read the Quran, right? Yes. But don't we sometimes understand it a little bit differently than each other? Right? And the Quran is speaking to us, your condition, the world's condition, and the specific condition and situation that you are within while you're in this earth. And if you don't believe me, keep reading this book. You're going to see yourself in the Quran. Because it addresses human behavior. Who is God talking about when you read this book? Human beings. Weren't the prophets human beings? Weren't the messengers human beings? Weren't Noah and Moses and Muhammad and all those people human beings? So who is God speaking to when he speaks in the Quran? He's not talking to no angels. He's talking to some human beings. He's talking to some people that have messed up. Some folks that have messed up in some dynamic of their life. Yes. And then he's speaking about some folks who didn't mess up and they stayed with him and he guided them. This is what the Creator is speaking to and speaking about. Humans. Us. So when you reading this book, you know my voice, when you reading this book, you will see yourself in the Quran. You'll see those behaviors you got. You'll see those behaviors that some people you know got. You might see those behaviors in some people that's real close to you, that you love. It is what it is. That's life. Welcome to the big leagues. This is the World Series of life. You ready to hit some home runs? You ready to run them bases? You ready to run them bases and get up at bat and steady yourself and knock it out the park? Because we're talking about deeds, we're talking about the human condition, we're talking about mind, soul, heaven. Where's your head at? Where's your mind at? Where do you want your soul to go? Do you want hell or do you want heaven? What do you want? What do you want? So it's talking about human beings and the human condition. We all got conditions going on. Some of us know about our condition and we're inshallah addressing it. Some of us are still in denial about our condition and we're not addressing it. And when we are addressed by those who address us, we got this defense mechanism up. Okay? Listen, I'm gonna get up here and tell it like it is. If you don't want to hear the truth, that's on you. Because me, I love the truth. I've always been the seeker of truth. So if we are coming here and someone is telling us like it is and they're telling the truth and we reject it, we are not submitters. You can't call yourself a submitter if someone cares about you and they come to you with love, care, kindness, and concern and they try to pull your coat to a condition that you may not recognize you have or a condition that you may not see that you have because you're in denial. You got this wall up and you think I'm okay and I'm perfect, nothing's wrong with me, then you are not a submitter to God alone. And I'm talking to myself too. And the Quran speaks about the condition of human beings. And in Joseph, when you read Joseph, for those who just coming in, I'm going to kind of reiterate a little bit. When you read Joseph, in Joseph, we can see the human condition of family situations. All that stuff that comes with blood. I ain't talking about cross blood and, oh, the blood gonna save me. No. I'm talking about reality of being related to some people. Folks come with baggage. Folks come with stuff. Folks come with disillusions and illusions and intrusions. They come with repressions and inflections and reflections of who they think they are, or you may think they are, but they're not who you thought they were. And this is what the Quran enlightens us about, to understand the human condition. First, I got to understand what is my condition before I can talk about your condition. And talking about you ain't doing this and you supposed to be doing that. I got to check in with my condition first and foremost and see if I'm checking in with self. Can't be the big cheese. Can't be the big cheese. I want to let us repent on that. Alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lahu. All praise be to God alone, Lord of the universe, Lord of the multiverse. I'm so grateful to be amongst some knowledgeable sisters and some knowledgeable brothers who I can see their faith. Just by the expression on their face, I know they got faith. I know they believe in God alone. You can see it. Sometimes you don't even got to hear them say it. You can see it. And that's the beauty of being a submitter. I can see your light. You can see my light. I can feel your light. You can feel my light. We feel each other's light. Light upon light. That's what it's about. Bringing peace to the community, making sure the community hang on and keep the peace within the community. Don't let Shaitan put a wedge between the community. Don't let Shaitan put a wedge between us. Don't let your own stinking thinking, upsound dis-ease bring about the disease in the community and break us apart, tear us apart, and make our numbers dwindle. Because we're the only ones here now. And who's going to carry his banner after us? Have you thought about that? Who's going to carry and uphold Quranic society, blah, blah, blah? Who's going to do it when we leave here? Have you thought about that lately? I have. Who's going to do it? We're the rocks coming together to keep the building together through the will of God, through the will of Allah, Lord of the universe. So, have you thought about that? Have you thought about 10, 15, 20 years from now? Even though God knows the seen and unseen, but have you thought about, will there always be a place for us to come to here in the Rotten Apple / the Big Apple? That's something to think about. It's a lot of things, but let me get back to Joseph, inshallah. So, like I said, I read Joseph before. I thought I understood it. Then some other stuff came. And, you know, like God says in 56, I'm going to reread a little bit. We thus established Joseph on earth, ruling as he wished. We shower our mercy upon whomever we will, and we never fail to recompense the righteous. And we know that his brothers in them, they envied him. They were jealous of him. You know why? Because they had low self-worth. They had low self-esteem. They wasn't their own best friend. So it was a whole lot of human dynamic that came into that. Now let's look at ourselves as human beings. Because let me just say this to you. Don't think for 1 minute that what Joseph and his brothers went through, that we may not have encountered it on some kind of dynamic within ourselves, within our families, or somewhere down the line in the near future. Because why would God, the Creator, who is unseen, tell us about Joseph? Tell us about Noah. Tell us about Moses. Tell us about all these different people who are no longer here. Because God has given us insight into the human situation and the human issues and problems that they had that brought about certain things that cause disharmony, that cause disunity, that even cause loss of life, loss of wealth, loss of health, no peace of mind. All conditions of human beings. So, we jump over, because this is what I've understood. Because mind, soul, heaven. This is what I understood. Because it's coming even more now as I'm here. When they entered, I'm on 88, because I don't want to make a long sermon. I just want to get to the point, you know. Talk about the human condition. Because this is what the Quran is talking about, human condition. When they entered Joseph's quarters, they said, "Oh, you noble one, we have suffered a lot of hardship, along with our family, and we have brought inferior goods. But we hope that you will give us full measure and be charitable to us. God rewards the charitable." He said, Do you recall what you did to Joseph and his brother when you were ignorant? Ignorant. God is telling us that some of us is ignorant. Some of us can be ignorant. This is what the Creator is saying. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm saying what the Creator is saying. And if you're honest with yourself, you will say, you know what? I may have been ignorant sometimes, or sometimes I act a little ignorant, and guess what? And I call myself a submitter, and I'm making 5 salats, and I'm doing Ramadan, but sometimes I'm a little ignorant. And if you can honestly admit your flaws to yourself, then you're a real submitter. If you can't admit your flaws to yourself, then you're a quitter. And you're not a submitter. You are a work in progress. And it's okay. It's okay to be a work in progress. Because we're not perfect. And that's the beauty of doing what it is that we're doing. But you gotta be honest with self. You will not be honest with others until you confront who you really are within. And only you know who you are inside, and God. So let me just get to the gifts and then wrap it up. Now, do you recall? Because we forget stuff. We forget when we mistreat people. Or sometimes people forget when they mistreat us. And they think we're supposed to be cool all the time. But they forgot. But God don't forget. Do you recall what you did to Joseph and his brother when you were ignorant? So God is telling us they were suffering from the ignorant condition. So when you see people doing stuff, you got to say, well, maybe they got some kind of condition going on. Because there's different facets of conditions that people go through, and this is why they do what they do. Gossip, talk about people, put people down, all this other stuff that people do, that we sometimes do. And I'm not saying we do, but I'm just talking about the human condition. There are conditions to the situation. And when you understand the conditions to the situation, then that gives you more understanding of yourself as a human being. I hope you understand what I'm talking about here, where I'm going with this here. Because I had totally different stuff planned out. But I didn't forget about what I read in Joseph. So let me just stick to that. So, they said, you must be Joseph. He said, I am Joseph. I am Joseph. And here is my brother. God has blessed us. Eden blessed us. Woo. God has blessed us. God is blessing you, me, us. He's blessing the disbelievers too. He allows them to breathe every day. He still provides. So God has blessed us. Okay? This is because if one leads a righteous life and steadfastly persevere. So that means that you want to go through some hoops, loops, and backflips, and front tucks, and front summies, because that's how life is. If you look at the water, study the river, study the ocean. Those currents don't always flow the same way every day. And that's how life is. What God says, study the signs. For in it is knowledge for those who what? Reflect. You can look at water and God will show you. There's sometimes it's calm. There's sometimes that's life. What is the human body primarily made of? Water. So when you feeling some kind of way, you're going through some kind of situation, look at the water. Look at the ocean. Look at the rain. Your condition is reflected in nature. But us have become distracted by gadgets and all this other stuff. That's why God says what? God says, don't be distracted. Because God knew we was going to be distracted. I'm not knocking the stuff we got. No, I'm not. I'm not doing that. Because there was a time when I had no stuff, and I said, God, just give me a little bit of stuff, and I'm grateful. Because when you get the stuff, if, like I said, if you're starting your day off with the calling on the Creator, then you will understand everything. You won't think you're the big cheese or the great I am. You'll be so humble, constantly remembering and crying, talking about crying tears. Thank you, my Lord. I love you, my Lord. You are my Lord. There is no God but you. This is where we want to be. This is where we're going. In closing, steadfastly persevere. I'm in 1290. God never fails to reward the righteous. They said by God, God has truly preferred you over us. We were definitely wrong. Now, let me say this. Some of us, God is going to prefer over one another. Listen. By God, God has truly preferred you over us. Right? So what I'm saying is, if God has preferred whoever over whoever, there's no need for jealousy in a community. Do y'all understand what I'm saying here? Or it's just going over our heads, man. And this is the reason why many communities are destroyed. Because God will raise somebody up, maybe 1, 2, or 3, who will be fervent and sincere and have understanding of the deen. And then you got the weak ones, they feel some kind of way. And what happens in the communities? Like, what happens? They break apart and they lose good people. And then they wonder why they're not strong as a mighty fist. Because when God prefers some people or other people, we got to say, Alhamdulillah, MashaAllah. Thank you, Allah, for sending us, for putting these kind of people in our midst. This is what we have to do. Appreciate the good people that God puts in our lives, puts in our midst. Because you may never see another kind of folk like them again. There hasn't been another Malcolm. There hasn't been another Martin. Right? There hasn't been another Mega Evans or whoever fought the good fight for us to sit here and bask like we're basking in the vittles. If you don't study history, you'll be in a mystery. You'll be caught up in your feelings and emotions. Literally, don't know what to do with yourself. Acting off the lower base power. So let me just wrap it up. So, by God, God has truly preferred you over us. We were definitely wrong. Now here's the blessing. They acknowledged and realized they were wrong. So here it is, people, and I'm close let the sermon in. If you are doing something that you know you got no business doing, right? I'm talking to myself too, and it's causing people harm and pain and confusion, right? And it's brought to your attention, right? And someone tells you about it, right? Then you have an obligation, if it's truth, and they do it in a loving, caring, concerned way, and don't put you out there on Fresh Street trying to embarrass you. You know, some people, they want to put themselves up there and make themselves look big and make other people look small because they're insecure and they got low self-worth and low self-esteem. Then that's not good. Now, I just lost my train of thought. All right, here it is. We were definitely wrong. So, this is what I was able to look at. They made a mistake. It was a big thing because God preferred Joseph over them, right? And you know, they was jealous and envious and they tried to, you know, get rid of him. But God had preferred him. And when God prefers you, they can't get rid of you. I don't care what they do. You see what they did with Joseph? What did they do? They put him in a hole in a well, right? And somebody came by and got some water. I think that's what happened. I think so, okay? Right, because you don't get them senior moments, right? And so he was rescued, right? And then as time went on, right, God put him in a place where he was overseeing, right? And guess what else? He just wasn't overseeing, he was saving lives. Why? Because he was able to interpret dreams, right? And he saw that a famine was coming. So he told the Pharaoh, whatever, listen, we got to put something away because there's something coming that you don't see, but God has allowed me to see, right? And they did that. And guess what? Lives were saved, right? So the whole gist is this here. Admitting when you're wrong, right? Stop being wrong, right? Changing that wrong, waking up to that wrong, right? Because guess what? When you do that, first you're going to save your life, and then you're going to save some other lives. Because every one of us in each dynamic is very intelligent up in here. Everybody sitting here is wise. Now, so, they said we were definitely wrong. That's the blessing. If you're wrong, you say you're wrong. Don't keep, and you know you're wrong. Talking to me, and you talk to you, because I'm not going to talk to you. I'm working on me, okay? He said, there is no blame upon you today. That's the mercy of Joseph. The mercy of Joseph. Because some of us hold grudges. Look at Joseph. There's no blame upon you today. May God forgive you. That's power. That's a submitter. That's a submitter. That's a submitter. That after all you did to me, you conspired and lied and did this and did that, caused me all kind of trauma. Right? Right? And here it is. I can say, and guess what? We can start saying this too when people do some stuff we don't like. There's no blame upon you today. May God forgive you. We can say this to people. Do you think the Quran is just for you to read? There's some stuff in here that you can say when a certain situation come up. They got it wrong. They think it's just Assalamu alaikum and all this other stuff and walk with the book. You become the book. You become the book. You become the book. Because the book addresses behavior. Good, bad, or indifferent. And if you really have a sincere heart and a good heart like Joseph, then you will step out of that old thinking, that old stuff about you that no longer serves you. It's just you keep rewinding the horror movie and the same stuff keep coming up and you're wondering why you're not feeling good about yourself, and all this stuff is because the behavior has not changed. And they recognize their behavior. They said we were wrong, God preferred you above us, and so on and so forth. And this is where we want to be, as submitters, not quitters, because it's always about working on your low self. Low self. Because God addresses the high self, but God mainly addresses that low you, that low me, that low them. That's what the Creator addresses. And this is why we have all these problems going on in the world. Because people are doing some dirty, low-down stuff to folks. And they're thinking some dirty, low-down stuff. And this is why things are the way it is. People are hungry, homeless, all this stuff. God said He made the earth habitable. It's enough to feed everybody. Nobody should be one. So in closing, We can say, there's no blame upon you today, may God forgive you. Of all the merciful ones, he's the most merciful. Take this shirt of mine, when you throw in your father's face, his vision will be restored. Bring your whole family and come back to me. That's love, that's compassion. Even before the caravan arrived, their father said, I can sense the smell of Joseph. Now, let me be brief. You know when your children sometimes wear certain clothes, their scent is in those items. Hello? And that's when he threw the shirt over him, he smelled the scent of his son. It's nothing spooky here. God addresses stuff so simple and easy, but if you caught up in this other dynamic, you won't see how simple and easy what God is saying. Right now, when you go home or whatever, you got children, whatever, families, if they take off a shirt or whatever, right? And because we all got a natural smell, right? And then smell it. You're gonna smell that person. And this is what happened when he threw the shirt over the face. He said what? He said, I can sense the smell of Joseph. Something so small. But for most of us, it'll go over our heads. You know why? Because for a while, it used to go over my head. And like the brother said, he'd get up in the morning and read the book. And then I saw it clear. I said, wow. So let me just end it, okay? I could talk about this all day. I mean, that's how deep it gets. But, okay, because Joseph, now I'm understanding, okay? They said, by God, you're still in your old confusion. When the bearer of good news arrived, he threw the shirt on his face, whereupon his vision was restored. He said, did I not tell you that I knew from God what you did not know? That means the father had taqwa, he had faith. He held on no matter what. Yes. They said, our Father, now check this out. Check this out. If you can do this, you're on your way. Talk to myself too, and us. Our Father, pray for our forgiveness. We were indeed wrong. So not just saying one time you was wrong, they said it 2 times. We were indeed wrong. So what I'm just trying to say is that after all the stuff that he went through and they did to him, they realized that they was wrong. And we thank the Creator for allowing us to understand that if we can arrive to that mindset when certain things is going on, then we will be in a better place. Mind, soul, heaven is all connected. So I just wanted to share that with y'all, and I thank the Creator, and I ask the Creator to continue to guide us and allow us to, inshallah, be like, not be Joseph, but maybe acquire some of those qualities.